Hey, what's up, everybody? Lawler here. Still a bit sick, so bear with me on the energy and the voice. But in a recent video, I mentioned talking about brand development and what it actually means and what it goes into building a brand. When I was at the version 1 headquarters, I got to sit and talk with a group of high school kids and students about what it means to build a brand and what that actually entails, which everybody's perspective is a little bit different, and there's people much more educated on that topic. But there was overwhelming comments about, yo, if you could do a dedicated video to it, we'd greatly appreciate it. So this video is going to be for those that may be a brand new player in RL Esports, or you're someone who wants to get into the content creation field, or you just are someone who wants to take a certain project to that next step. Kind of my things are the ideologies that I personally have and have learned over the years about building a brand and what a brand means. So I'm going to try to tackle it and provide a perspective that either you may have heard or may not have heard, and kind of give you some ideas of things you need to discuss and think about when it comes to actually building your own brand. What's up, everybody? Lawler here, inside source for things Rocket League, but going to be talking obviously about a more broad topic today in regards to building your own brand and what that means, what it all entails. And understand this is just my opinion. This is just something that things I've noticed over the past 6 years of working in esports about what it is and how it means, and things that you can do in tips and tricks of the trade, I guess, because a lot of you have been asking about this. So I will do my best. Again, energy is going to be kind of low just because I'm still pretty sick. But hopefully we get through it together. So ultimately, when people think about a brand or what is a brand, most people honestly think about a logo or an icon or something that they associate with like merch. Case in point, you look at popular brands like Nike, Adidas, and Starbucks, and 100 Thieves. And when people think about 100 Thieves, they think of their branding with the logo and their merch and all that kind of stuff. And to me, that's probably like one of the last things you think about, I think, when it comes to developing a brand. And this is just kind of my way about going about, because this is stuff I had to do at the start of the pandemic. To kind of take you guys through my story and my situation, my branding or my image has changed a lot over the past years, based upon my experiences and the things that I've not only grown as a person, but also the things that I've learned from being in the esports field to make myself not only more mentally happy, but also just, I think, put myself in a spot for success. You look at many different creators and people who are significantly more successful than I am, have gone through many iterations in their branding. So ultimately, what is a brand? What is it going to be? How do we get to go about? The first thing I'd recommend is honestly identify what you're trying to accomplish. As a brand or as a figure that is going to be a representation of something, what are you trying to accomplish? In my circumstance, it was content creation and as an esports commentator. So what surrounds that image? What surrounds that as a person? And for me, there's a couple things that I really focus heavily on. This kind of was developed over years of doing YouTube and streaming on Twitch, and there were things that I recognized that as I was developing my branding and having a logo, I wanted it to associate the stuff that I was passionate about. And I think that's kind of where step one starts, is what are you passionate about? What is something that you enjoy doing? What is a niche that you think you can do better than anybody else? Because I hate to say it, but for a majority of people, we're not all that unique. There is almost a guarantee that someone else has either thought of or tried to do the idea that you are doing and are probably doing it better. And that's just kind of the harsh reality of it. I guess the best advice I can give is if there is something that you are seeing that you're like, you know what, I could do that better, or I like that, and I think I could provide my own perspective in a different take that makes it more unique, or whatever it may be. And in my case, it was, Rocket League esports coverage, or Rocket League coverage in general. I thought that I was in a pretty good position as a former commentator. It was someone that got to see it and experience it firsthand and provide an insight that others weren't. And it was something that I recognized over the course of my, however many years of doing YouTube. All the videos that did the best were the analytical ones, the ones about predictions, the ones that had to do with covering the esport field. there was major changes not only to that, but also to my stream. I realized that on stream, I didn't really care to play Rocket League. People were going to go watch pros instead of me. So most people enjoyed watching my streams when I either had guests on or talking about specific things or, you know, expressing my opinion on certain topics. So I found my calling or my niche or the thing that made me unique and something that I could do better than other people. And that's kind of where it starts. The other part of it too is being genuine. Something that you learn very, very early on, at least something I learned very early on, based upon the people I got to work with in my commentary career, was to be genuine, because if you're not, people who watch are going to recognize it very, very quickly. Kind of recognize that you were brought into this broadcast team for a reason, and you don't have to try to fabricate and be somebody else. We brought you in because we like you and your personality. So just showcase that on camera. It took me many years to kind of get out of that like imposter syndrome of me doubting myself the entire time. It took me a very long time to just kind of realize that, yeah, they hired me for a reason. I'm here. Let me do my job. Let's have some fun with it. And that's something that does not come naturally. There's a lot of people on camera talent that struggle with that and still struggle with that, myself included at times. For learning to be genuine, and something else that I guess have kind of gotten known for, whether it's good or bad at times, is to be bold. I was taught in broadcasting to be bold, make statements unapologetically. You know, don't be a fence sitter, because it's better for you to make a statement and stand behind it than it is for you to kind of just be in the middle. You look at some very popular broadcast talents out there that, you know, have been very successful because they make a statement and they're willing to back it. And, you know, if they're wrong, they bite their tongue and you're like, yeah, I apologize. It's on me. I was wrong. And they move on from it. So there's that level of respect. So I guess part of it has to do with being genuine and determining what that niche is, and making sure it's something that's a passion and a hobby. Once you've kind of solidified and figured out what that thing is going to be, what is your niche? What is it that you want to cover or do or partake in? Then you have to kind of decide how you want to tackle it. Is it going to be through content creation? Is it going to be through, you know, vlogging? Is it going to be through, you know, what form of medium are you going to express with that? And for a lot of, if we want to compare it to Rocket League Esports pros, if I'm a brand new Rocket League Esports pro, and this is a conversation I had back in 2017, was at the current time, Rocket League commentators were being paid by Twitch a salary because Twitch was in charge of the esports program. And they recognized that we don't have a broadcast crew, then we can't allow them to do their jobs. We don't have anything to, you know, showcase the show to. And a lot of pros got upset with that because pro contracts weren't necessarily a thing yet. And it got into this argument about me saying, like, I understand you guys don't understand the foundation needing to be in place first for this to be successful, but you guys are on broadcast pulling 30, 40, 50,000 viewers concurrent. And that exposure, although it sucks if you work hard, is going to outweigh anything that I make monthly as a monetary gain. And you look at the pros that really took advantage of that. Squishy Muffins and Rizzo and Garrett and all these guys that have been grinding their content, but also being pros on side of that, are now massively successful. More money than I could ever dream of making in a month. Some of these guys make more in a month than I make an entire year. And it's pretty crazy to see. So there's this huge argument of understanding that when you are in the spotlight, there is an opportunity for you to go and turn that into something else. And that, I think, has to do with the starting of the branding, is the ability to recognize that there is attention on you if you're a Rocket League Esport pro, and you want to turn that into something more, something that lives and breathes past your pro career. So if you're a Rocket League Esports pro, you're an aspiring pro, or you're someone trying to get into it, say I'm a 15-year-old kid, best example I can give is like Daniel, Dries, Aqua, these new kids coming in. They have a very good opportunity to turn it into kind of the next step, and it's going to be a lot of work, and it's going to be a grind, and it's not going to happen overnight, but you get a much better leg up than anybody else. For example, Dries right now played for G2 for a split, has a ton of attention to him. He's a hot commodity, kind of a free agent. And it's like, what is he doing with that attention? What is he doing at that time? Obviously, he's trying to find a new team and showcase that he's a very talented player. But he's streaming on a regular basis. He's turning that attention into personal gain, which is really smart. But what is he doing outside of that? Is he making content that lives and breathes outside of Rocket League? Is he streaming Rocket League for a few hours and then playing something else? So in case Rocket League dies, he has something else to go to. He's got to find a way to develop a fan base and make himself a personality, a unique character that can live and breathe outside of Rocket League. Probably the best showcase of this is Rizzo. Rizzo, doesn't matter what he plays, doesn't matter what he does, can literally react to TikToks and Vines, and people will watch his content. And that's part of the brand association. What is your personality? What are your hobbies? What are your interests? People know I love the Green Bay Packers. People know I listen to metal. People know I like anime. Like, there's certain things that you associate with certain people, and that becomes a part of your branding. And it allows you then to dive into further aspects of that. But it all stems back to that original thing I'm talking about being genuine. I, for a long time on Twitch, would listen to music that other people liked. And after a certain point, I'm just like, screw it. I want to listen to what I like. Eventually, I have formed a community that goes and listens to the same music I do, which I think is a much better thing, not only for me mentally, but also I'm around like-minded people that are more genuine. Conversation that we have is more of a mature audience rather than a younger audience. There's a lot of really exciting things about that, and it took many years to develop that. It's not going to happen overnight, but if you're a young pro and you have all these influx of views coming in because you're really, really talented, how can you transition that into kind of that next step? And for a lot of younger kids, that's a very tough thing to think about, is how do I plan for my future when I can only see right in front of me? So very difficult situation. Even though the thumbnail for this video is kind of a meme, you do see, you know, people like Garrett G, who originally, you know, you were criticized heavily for saying you can build a brand back then and you have a bunch of opportunities. Now looking back at it, he's like, yeah, you were 100% correct. And that's a difficult thing, is kind of step outside the box and outside of your bubble, especially as a young age where your brain hasn't developed to recognize and notice those things. But ultimately, branding as a whole is what your passions, your hobbies, your interests. What are you trying to represent? What are you trying to cater to? What is that niche, as I've stated? And how are you going to do it better than other people or unique to other people? Obviously, we all have our own thoughts and opinions, and that in itself can be good. But what are you going to do so it lives outside of that? Are you going to make merch? Are you going to start a podcast? Are you going to, you know, there's a bunch of different factors that go into expanding, and it is going to be through trial and error. There's going to be certain things that you like and dislike, certain things that you kind of find and fall into that you know, presumably like better. I personally prefer live content more than recorded content because that's what I got my career started in. But at the end of the day, like, I still consider myself a esports commentator more than a content creator, even though more people recognize me more as a content creator nowadays because of the reach that YouTube has, which is really unique. So again, it's an ever evolving thing, but you have to kind of just do it through trial and error, which is really, really frustrating for a lot of people. In today's day and age, we talk a lot about instant gratification, the fact that everything is, you know, at the touch of your fingertips with the phone, but understanding that long-term success is something that has to be built upon and something that has to take time to achieve. So at the end of the day, when it comes to building a brand, there's a couple factors that you can look at. Obviously, you have to define, discover, develop what is the purpose of your branding. What is your niche? What is the core topic that you're going to be addressing? What is the thing that you want to tackle that nobody else is? Or if other people are doing, how can you do it better than them? And that kind of goes hand in hand with the next step is, you know, do you have competition? What are your competition doing well? What is certain things that they're doing that you can improve upon? Because usually that competition does, for example, with Musty and Sunless, even though they're both YouTubers, even though they both make Rocket League content, that competition, that drive is building a storyline that allows them to both succeed. It's also the same reason why you see, you know, McDonald's, Burger King, and A&W, and like all these different fast food chains that all sell burgers, all be within the same area. After you kind of do that and you kind of determine, you know, hey, I have an understanding of what I'm trying to tackle and what other people are doing, you then need to determine what's your audience. Is it a younger age? Is it an older demographic? A lot of YouTubers are starting to stop profanity and vulgar because of demonetization, or they understand their fan base is younger. There's a lot of different factors that go into it. And then you kind of have to put a strategy into place. Right now, for the content side of things, most people agree that TikTok and YouTube and Instagram and everything but live streaming on Twitch is the way to go, because Twitch's brand discoverability is absolutely terrible. It's very tough to bring in a new audience, and it's better to spend efforts elsewhere. You can go look at any popular, like, hey, how to build a brand video, and most of them will say, like, Twitch just ain't the play. You have to be there actively all the time. When on YouTube, you can put time and effort into making videos, and there's a guarantee, well, there's not a guarantee, but there's a chance that that video can pop off at any moment. While on Twitch, there's no chance that, you know, Shroud or someone is going to host you. Like, you just, it's pure luck. After you've kind of done that and figured those steps out, and you understand what you're trying to develop, what your strategy is, what your, I guess, your story is going to be, your narrative, how you're going to progress from step one to step two, you then kind of create that identity. And that's why I say, like, a logo or something that people associate to you for a visual aid is kind of later down the line, after you kind of, you know, take the steps of recognizing what you want it to be. That's when you put up a logo. That's when you do the stuff that people can associate to you. People know my colors are red, black, and white. People know my logo, which has actually changed over the years as well. Making those improvements to my visual, like my intro video and my song that comes along with it. People kind of have a general idea of that's me, red, black, and white. It's a metal song made by a buddy of mine. Like, it kind of gives you a general idea of like the vibe that I'm going for, and then live and breathe it. If you can't advocate for it, why should I? Why should I get behind something that you're not even behind? Which again goes back to that initial step. What is your niche? Is it genuine? Is it something you're passionate about? Because if I don't think you're into it, why should I be? And it kind of all goes hand in hand. So again, general tricks of the trade, a lot of different like identity crises that a lot of people go through, a lot of different struggles that over time that has happened. And I guess this topic is more so prevalent of, despite being no longer an RLCS commentator at the beginning of 2020, I had to decide what I wanted my branding to be. And it took a little bit to figure that out. I had to go back and do research and homework and what videos on YouTube are doing well. What do I have to do to make sure I never go back to a 9-to-5 job because I hated it? How can I continue to be self-employed and be my own boss? And at the end of the day, I was lucky to find that niche and continue to do what I do, and then pick up casting gigs and stuff when I can, because I still love commentating. And a lot of it is due to your guys' support. So overall, hopefully that answers a lot of questions. If you guys do have additional ones, I would be happy to answer down below. Anytime I do speeches like this to high school kids or different districts and stuff, I always leave Q&A open, which is the most important thing. So if you guys do have any additional questions to this and would like a follow-up, you can either stop by my stream at twitch.tv/Lawler. I stream every day but Tuesday and Sunday, unless I have other stuff going on. This stuff is open conversation. I'm more than willing to talk about any of it at any given time. Or feel free to let me know in the comments down below, and I will gladly answer when I can. But again, thank you for all the continued support. If you guys enjoyed this type of content, give it a thumbs up, hit subscribe, and turn on notifications. And I'll see you in the next one. Peace.